good is the enemy of great. Good is the enemy of great. Like bad isn't the enemy of great. Bad is actually better than good.
Trees on the beat,
Okay, everyone, welcome to Young and Gifted, the podcast where we talk to young and gifted individuals about some things that they've been through life in hopes that it inspire, motivate, and change someone's life, one of you guys' life. Today we have a special guest again. Today we have someone who in the past year I got to see grow. Someone who in the past year I got to see grow, not just as a person but as a professional. And as a creative. Today we're just gonna have a discussion about life and see where it takes us. Today we welcome Emily.
Hi, Vaughn. Very, very happy to be here on this podcast that I've had the pleasure of, kind of being on the back end of a little bit. It's definitely interesting to be on this side of things.
Yeah.
Today I kind of want to just touch on something that I think would be of value to a lot of people. And like you said, you've seen a lot of growth from me in the past year, and that's something that I've obviously seen in myself. And I think that all, has to do with what I, want to talk about today, which is the importance of being alone. Because I think on a lot of the other episodes, there's certain things that have happened in my life that I think have been touched on in other episodes, maybe not to the same extent, but I wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
And obviously kind of talk about that.
Yeah, and it's cool because I don't know if you know or if any of you guys know, but I started writing a book long time ago. It's called Diary of a Loner. It's one I didn't really finish. Christy, my wife, I know you guys know, but Christy keeps telling me to finish it and stuff, but I didn't get time to finish. And basically is a diary of my life, how I was always a loner or outcast, and the importance of being alone. From when I went through what I went through, and how being alone actually helped me get to figure out my life and who I want to be.
Yeah, sorry. I kind of just got a thought there. I also like being a creative. I think that's super, super important, especially for creative people, because I feel like we're such like chameleons. We can do well in so many different things that it can be hard for us sometimes to like find that one thing that kind of fuels us the most.
Yeah.
Because we're always doing something with so many different people, and we can, do so much. So sometimes although it can be an advantage at times, can almost be a disadvantage.
Yeah.
To us.
And actually, before we dive deep into this conversation, I just want you guys to know again, we are filming in Oxenbo Barbershop. Oxenbo Barbershop is London's finest, as you could tell. I know I look scruffy. I'm just always so busy, so I never really have time to get a haircut with Savio and all these guys, and Emily and Jason being always booked out. So forgive my beard and forgive my hair. I know every week you guys see me, I look like this, but it's because we just try to keep busy.
Your barber's
here.
good if they look like shit.
Yeah,
Because that means they don't have any time now.
I wouldn't say I look like shit. Just my hair. My hairline pushed back, and it's okay. We here. But yeah. So now we could dive deep into the conversation as I address the elephant in the room. Okay, so in terms of being alone and stuff, I know like for me, I tell people all the time is that I feel like a lot of people who struggle with who they want to be is because they never had time by themselves, and because they always hear. Actually, let me hear your version of why you think being alone is important.
I think being alone is important because, especially with now's like generation and stuff like that, we're so just stuff we see on social media and a lot of like outside influences. Sorry, we have this kind of distorted image of like how our lives are supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing. We see people living these big luxurious lives, always out with people. We have like famous people, we have people in like perfect relationships. And I think people think that like that's what we need to focus on. We need to focus on just
Yeah.
being someone. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Being seen.
being seen, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that has given so many people like FOMO, like fear of missing out. But like I said, with the whole thing about being like a chameleon, there's so many outside influences that can affect who you are as a person. And I don't think you really even know who you are until you take that time to be by yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can think that you're but you're taking this personality trait from this person. You're taking, this slang from this person, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You take all of these characteristics, all of these different things, and you don't even realize that that's not even who you are. You're just all of these things meshed up into one person to be liked by other people.
Exactly.
Because you think like, oh, if you do this, you do that.
If you dim your light, they will accept you more. And this is something that I struggle with my whole life actually, and I'm just getting into the place where I'm way more comfortable being who I am, and who I have to be to become who I am is two different people. We was having this. We went on a road trip this weekend, and we was actually having this conversation. And most times, the person who people see is not who I actually am. When I'm home, I'm this quiet, reserved person who just likes spending time with family and being with my kids. And today I cried. I don't even know why I was crying. Jada went to a half-day camp. And I went to pick her up, and she's like, no, I'm playing. And she went back to play. And I don't know, I just started crying. I was like, oh, she has her own life now. And, and like, I wonder how long I could be able to sleep in her bed and how long I could, but yeah. So it and all these things came from me taking those steps and realizing that I need to step into who I am. And that came after a long time alone and going through the probably the worst depression I ever had to go through in my life.
Yeah. That's a big thing too. Like even with my daughter, I'm not ever, no matter what happened, I'm not ever going to speak, badly on my parents. But one thing I push my daughter to do is obviously I discipline her, but if she wants to do something, I'm going to let her do it. You know what I mean? Like I'm never going to make her do stuff she doesn't want to do. Like any way that she wants to express herself, I push her to do that, because I want her to be able to, find herself. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's a beautiful thing to experience. But yeah, they grow up quick and they do develop their own personalities and their own interests. And then they go to school and they have friends and they go.
And then you're responsible for them. And I heard someone say it one time. They said, by the time we realize that our parents was right, our kids don't believe us. And you try to talk to them, and I see it in Jada all the time. My mom always told me my mom always told me that if God is real, I'm gonna have a kid like I was, because I was so hard for her. And now I have a kid, and it's everything that she says or she does is me, and it's scary. And Christy and I look at each other all the time, and I'm like, wow. It's amazing. Let me get you this joke. This is a side note. It'd be not on topic here. I just going away, and then we could come back to the topic.
Yeah.
But today, she was watching this movie on Disney, Victorious or whatever, and they had an episode where they were singing "I Want You Back" from Michael Jackson. And then, so she asked, she's like, Daddy, how you know the song? I was like, what do you mean how I know the song? She was like, how you know the song? I was like, my mom knew the song from when she was a kid, and then she showed me the song, and now I'm going to show you. So then I showed her Michael Jackson, and she was amazed. And she was like, wait, so why is Victoria singing his song? I was like, I don't know. So you thought these white people sing this song? I was like, Michael Jackson was this black kid who grew up in a time where black kids was on TV. And to us, he was a superhero, right? So then she starts watching Michael Jackson, and I'm looking at her. Because I know that the time going to come when she realized that, when she see that Michael Jackson ended up being white in the end. So she's watching all these videos. Then she pulls up Remember the Time. And I could show you the video. I could post the video after. She looks so confused. She looks at me. I'm like, that's him. She's like, him? This is a her. I was like, what? I was like, no, that's him. So she starts watching it and she doesn't want to say it because of how today's generation is that they don't want to talk. I was like, are you confused because he's white? She's like, very. I'm like, yeah, he was sick. And then he got like this. So then she's like, so he was sick, so he tried to hide. He don't want to be black. I said, no. The sickness made him like this. He wanted to be black. And then she's like, okay. And then she just continues watching all his videos and whatever. But that's just a side note that I think was funny at any time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just one of the joys of having kids that was just funny to me.
Yeah, no, it's funny just kind of seeing those realizations, and it's nice, you know. I mean, obviously we're not that old, but kind of teaching our kids those things and showing them those things that, you know, in today's society, like, they wouldn't be shown, you know.
Yeah. So at what point of your life did you realize that you had to push yourself into this lonely phase? Did you push yourself into the lonely phase, or did it happen?
I was forced into it, which was definitely a blessing in disguise. Because I think, you know, because just giving a little bit of backstory, I was on my own at a very, very young age. Like, I think like 15 or 16, you know, I was out of the house. I didn't really have, you know, obviously, like, I had a support system. Like, you know, I love my parents and all that. It was just they were dealing with their own stuff, and, you know, I wasn't exactly the best kid, but, you know, a kid can only do so much. So I think, you know, being so young and not having the support system I needed, I was so dependent on other people, and it just kind of became a habit. Like, you know, I was staying with other people, you know, I was in a relationship, like, I didn't really know how to function on my own. Like, I always, you know, had to, I was very dependent. And that's kind of all I knew. And then, you know, growing up, getting older, I was always like with someone, I was always around people. And sorry, I think it just kind of became like a survival thing. I didn't really know anything else. And then, you know, just like over a year now, I got out of like a really bad relationship, and my family was like, okay, we need to, like, you know, help her out. We need to get her out of this. And at that point, like, I had no other option. And, you know, it was kind of an uncomfortable situation. It's not exactly where, you know, I wanted to be. It's not what I wanted for myself or, you know, for my family, for my daughter, but it's kind of what needed to happen. And also, you know, I'm living on the other side of town now. At this point, like, I was just so used to being around people all the time and going out and and living downtown and partying and drinking and doing whatever. That's another thing too. Sorry to kind of go off track, but I think that that's something that causes so many issues, is being downtown all the time and drinking and partying. It creates so many problems that, like, you don't even realize. Like, it's like alcoholism, being around, you know, people that are doing drugs, like, just, you know, going out and hooking up with people. It's like, those are like actual problems. But it's like when it's something that's glorified or romanticized, it's like you don't realize that it's an actual problem. And it's messing up your physical health, your mental health, like, it's making everything so much worse. But yeah, so basically I, you know, moved in with my family, and I was kind of forced to take a step out of it, because, you know, I wasn't around downtown anymore. I wasn't around all my friends, and when I took the step back, I realized, you know, a lot of people stopped talking to me. A lot of people only wanted to hang out to go out to the bars or, you know, party, do stuff like that. So I kind of started seeing people kind of drift out of my life a little bit, and one by one, it was just I was noticing the separation there. But yeah, just that distance was kind of the start of it. And then it came to the point where I was like, oh, like these were things that were very, very unhealthy for me. And I don't even know how to explain it because it kind of was a mix of like choosing to do it and being forced to do it. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's a very, very, very difficult thing to do. Because even just, going through, like, I don't know if you touched on it, but you were talking about how you stopped drinking. And it was like, oh, you were noticing like, it's just little stuff like that. Like having a beer when you go home every day. It's like you're noticing those withdrawals and you're noticing that FOMO. And it's like, those are like, it's like kind of like addictions. Like those are things that you were doing all the time and you felt like you needed to do to kind of fuel yourself and feel that sense of purpose. But yeah, essentially, like, I was working, and at the time I was doing sales and I was working from home. So I really wasn't going out or doing anything. Like I was pretty much just at home, hanging out with my daughter or doing whatever. Like, I started to go out less and less, and I was just kind of forced to take that time by myself. And eventually I was like, oh, like maybe this is actually what I need. And then it became a choice of mine where I had the option to do those things and I chose not to. And I kind of just took a step back and really like focused on myself. And then, I had quit that job. And then I'd applied here, which love that story. Which was actually funny because even though I had stopped going out, it literally happened because I went out one night. My friend was like, "Oh, let's go to Jack's," and I was like, "Absolutely not! I am not going to Jack's. You will not catch me there." She's like, "Oh, come on, like let's go," and she pulls up to my house. She's like, "You got 30 seconds to decide whether or not you're coming." And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Really didn't want to go. I was I was so close to just saying no. So we go, we're getting a couple of drinks at the bar, and then we see someone that like knows you guys. At the time, I didn't know. But actually, rewind a little bit. Earlier that day, I was looking on Indeed because I was like, oh, I need to find another job. And I had seen Ox and Bow. And it was just like a thought, like it was just there. And I didn't think to apply because nothing, that I'd done prior was relevant to it whatsoever. So it was just something I'd seen, and the idea kind of just floated away. But yeah, while we're at the bar, we see someone that knew you guys. At the time I didn't know, but my friend was like, "Oh, that's
you
like."
can call it. You can say his
okay,
name.
okay, Matt.
Yeah.
So we see Matt, and my friend's like, oh, like she knows the guys, because I had told her like, oh, I was looking at jobs, whatever. She's like, oh, he knows them. You should talk to him. So I'm like, okay, let me buy you a drink. Like I'm talking to him. I'm like, yo, I really want to be a barber. And he's like, do you know how to cut hair? I'm like, yeah, not really, no. But it's something that I was very interested in. And it's crazy because like I had worked so many jobs in my life and done so many different things. I'm a very creative person, but I never found anything that really fueled me. I do a lot of painting and I did tattooing for a bit, and nothing really just like sparked that in me, because there was nothing that really made me want to work and like build something for myself. And it was so random. Like it was just something that had popped up, and it was just the timing. Like, he was there and I was like, hey, like I want to do this. He's like, okay, like give me your number and I'll talk to the guys. And I did, and there was some back and forth there. And he's like, oh, come in on Monday, meet everybody. And then ever since then I've been here, and it's at the end of the month it will have been a year. And but I've been working, and it's crazy. It's crazy to think like, oh, and I'm a very firm believer in divine timing, and just things that are meant for you no matter how it happens, how crazy the story is and the likelihood of it happening, it will happen. So yeah, and then I started working here and just started grinding. Like it was, as soon as I started, I just knew. I was like, this is what I need to be doing. And I was coming here and I was, working even when I didn't have anybody, and I would go home and I wasn't really doing anything but this. And again, it was spending a lot of time alone, and even being single. Like when I worked sales, we did 107 goals. And one of my goals was to be single for a year, because I wasn't really single for very long. Like I wouldn't say it was like serial dating. Like I don't really
Yeah.
throw myself under the bus, but yeah, it was someone that was like always with someone, you know? So it was like a big step and a big thing for me to be by myself. And I never really had that opportunity to take that time. And that was another big, big reason for me to take that time alone was because I'd never really done it. I didn't understand the importance of it, but I was like, oh, there's a lot of things that I need to heal from. And I don't really know myself,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, and I realized so many things, and, you know, just even picking up little hobbies and just little things about myself that I didn't even know. And now I mean, now I'm probably a little bit too comfortable with being alone, but you need to take that time to like really build yourself because like, I don't know, as corny as it is, saying you can't love anybody until you love yourself is very, very true.
No, it's for
like
sure.
you're not gonna half build a house and then let someone live in it.
No, for sure.
You know, you're gonna build that house, you're gonna finish it, and then you're gonna be like, okay, here you go, it's ready for you.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes for romantic relationships, friendships, anything like that. Because any stuff that you're dealing with internally before you, I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna ever fully mend those wounds. It's everyone's always a work in progress. There's always progress to be made.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's just it's an uncomfortable thing. It's very, very uncomfortable, but it's
And that's the
something
thing
that's
it's like
yeah.
I feel like happiness or joy or actually, you know, there's a pastor, Pastor Wilkerson, I think it was David Wilkerson, and he says all true joy comes out of a baptism of anguish. Right? And it's one of these statements in my life that I think is one of the realest statements. I'm thinking about it now. I might get tatted on my thigh right here since I go into the gym now and my legs starting to pop up. But all true joy comes out of a baptism of anguish. And that saying in itself was that whole lonely phase. And me at first your lonely phase is the hardest thing that you could go through in life. And you start to feel like it is, you start to go through depression and you start to go through those thoughts where, like, I never had thoughts that was straight suicidal, but I had thoughts that was like, you know, if this car was to hit me right now, I wouldn't be angry with that. You know, I could go. And then it got to the point where it was like, oh, I could go to the movies by myself. I could go get drinks by myself. I could go, like, people will see Mini Club and they'll be like, oh, why you by yourself? I'll be like, bro, I'm just chilling, you know? I remember this one time we went to to the movies and we was with this, with a girl and she was like, oh, you want to come back and chill? And I was like, nah. And that's when I realized that I was on a different, I was in a different place, you know? And even for you, like seeing from when you just came to now, the capacity, the mental strength that you had then compared to now is way different, right? And I could see the growth, and I know for a fact that this comes from going to the gym, like a mental health gym, you know, and just like how your body will get stronger, your mind will get stronger if you put yourself through that pain, you know, and baptize yourself in anguish. And back to what you're saying about the barbershop is it's funny because when you came that Monday morning, I was actually expecting another girl who applied. So when Matt was like, because Matt was helping with the LinkedIn with Jason.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, the girl is coming. I was like, okay. And so then when you came, I was like, oh, I don't think that was the girl. He was like, no, she said she came. And then I was like, okay, she came. But I didn't think he would come back. You know, the only other person who came and came back was Andy.
Really?
Yeah, he came back and then he was always here and he was always enthusiastic and willing to work and willing to learn, you know? That's one thing I always give him. He was
my God, the training.
Yeah, because
have
it's intense, and that's because most people think, oh, we go and come and we go and breeze in and make money, and it's like, nah, Nah, that's not how this works. Especially being
Expect unemployment for about
yeah,
5 months while you figure it out.
yeah,
Until
yeah.
you don't suck anymore.
Yes, and that's the thing is that you go through this. It's just like the lonely phase. You go through this
Yeah.
this long time of pain,
Yeah,
and then
'cause you're
all of a sudden
basically like-
something switch and you start making, or like all the clients who was styling you before come back and be like, oh yeah, I want to book with
Yeah.
you, and now it's like, oh, we getting phone calls and say, hey, is the white girl there? And they're like, oh, okay, cool,
No, but for real, because it's like you have to be in this place where it's like you suck, like no one trusts you, you can't take payments, and you just have to stick it out.
Yeah.
It's like it literally is like the lonely phase, like
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable.
And so much times it's about to quit, and we was like, "Yo, don't quit now because it's right there, it's right there." And look,
Yeah,
and look, because I remember, what I was gonna say, a few times. Well, we had to talk, and not everyone made it. Out of everyone who started the same time with you, you're the only person who here, and it was a bunch of guys, and the guys thought that they would have it easy, and then when they see how hard it actually was, because at the end of the day, you have a standard to uphold, and that's beyond the topic. But for me, it's like one of the greatest joys for me is to be able to be in a place where my clients would be like, oh, a book with Emily, and be like, okay, cool, and most people would think that we'll be upset about that, and to me, I'm not upset at all. If I could help somebody reach to a level where the best at their craft, I think that is a win for me. Even though I don't make the money from it, it's not about money. Everyone do things for money. My for me is gratification. For me to be like, this person start from zero and look at them now. They booked out and
But yeah, no, I had this thought. I kind of want to track back a little bit. How you were saying, like about like the baptism of anguish. There's this thing I was reading, and it was talking about. I mean, I'm sure everyone's like already heard this, but it was that good is the enemy of great. Good is the enemy of great. Like bad isn't the enemy of great. Bad is actually better than good, because at least bad you have no other choice but to go up. Good, if you're comfortable, it's very rare that you're gonna push yourself
yeah,
to go up and to work harder. So, I mean, forcing yourself to do stuff like this, and when you're in a comfortable position, I mean, I thankfully, it was a bit half and half. It's tough to, push yourself through this, and taking that time alone, I worked really hard, and I kind of took a step back from people, and I found my mental health got significantly better. It was very, very bad, but because I realize I'm a very, very introverted person. Obviously I have to put myself out there and, be social and have that personality with people here, but I'm a very, very introverted person. I'm very comfortable alone, and just kind of, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's Jim Carrey talking about depression, deep rest. It's like your body needs a deep rest from this avatar, like, from this character that you're playing, out in the world, and that's what it is. It's like something that's so far from who you truly are can really drain you, physically and mentally. And once I stopped doing that, once I stopped, being around these people and, doing what I thought they wanted me to do, because I thought that's what would, make them like me, because I thought that to be important and to be, like to have meaning was to have all these people like me and have all these people care about me. And it's like, if I'm putting myself through that and I'm doing something that's so uncomfortable and it's, causing me all this mental strain, then like that's not how it should be. And I feel like so many people are putting themselves through that. And I don't know, it's definitely a tough thing to do, but you realize when you take that time alone, like you unlock your true potential. You can only
go ahead, say it.
Oh, you can only reach your full potential when you have that time alone, because you don't know what you can do. You don't work as hard. You have all these outside distractions. So it is a very, very, very tough thing to do, but it's very important.
Yeah. So in terms of like the future and stuff, right? Like where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself in like 5 years?
In 5 years, I don't know. I definitely want to grow with you. I don't know if I necessarily like. Obviously, I want to stay with you guys. So I would love to see us all expand and go off and do our own things. I would love to travel. I'd love to be a traveling, but I would just love to get to the point where I can help other people. If I can help other people reach their full potential and I honestly like I've been thinking about it recently, and I feel like I want to work with like youth.
Yeah,
Maybe travel to places that don't necessarily have like the resources or like programs,
yeah.
and maybe not even just teach barbering, but like young kids that have passions that they
I
might
think
not
that's
necessarily.
yeah. I think that's cool. I think that's really cool if you go to like different, like third world places, right? And like teach barbering and
Yeah.
yeah. I think that'll be. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. That's exciting, and it's good that you have a goal where is giving back.
Yeah.
I feel like once you have a goal where you're trying to solve a problem, it's something that will always it will always satisfy you financially and mentally, and physically, because you're gonna be helping people, right? And
Yeah.
the money will always come. And well, I know that you know this from going through everything that you did go through, you know. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing that I can say is you do need to spend time alone, but you don't have to, you don't have to do things alone. Like I feel like you need to take time by yourself, but you also need a good support system around you to achieve the things you want to achieve. Like
yeah.
even just reading, Think and Grow Rich. It talks about the mastermind group. It's like you need like, and
Community.
I think of us as like the mastermind group. There's you, me, Jason, Savio, and we all mesh so well, and we all contribute so many different things to this bit. It's not even like it's so much more than a barber shop. That's why I was like, whenever I tell people I'm a barber, it's like it's so much more than that. But we're like these little puzzle pieces. We all contribute different things. We all
Yeah,
have different passions. Like, outside of just cutting hair, you need to have your mastermind group. You need to have your support system. And the reason I want to give back is because, like, realistically, I I had to take time alone, but I couldn't have done this alone.
yeah,
You know.
for sure.
So I think it's very, very
It's
important, and to want to give that to people that don't necessarily have that.
yeah, and the only time you could really understand community is when you go through a point in your life when you realize that the community that you have sucks. So I remember like when I used to party and stuff, one of the so when I used to party and stuff, we had this group of friends and we would party like every day. If we wasn't outside, we was partying inside.
Yeah.
And eventually as I started to grow mentally, I used to try having these 1 second. That's weird.
No, it was going that way.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I used to try having these deep conversations. Like, oh, so what you guys want to be on? Like, you guys think it's a more to life? And then one day, one of the girls stopped me and she's like, Vaughn, why do you always have to try to have a deep conversation now? I'm like, she's like, why does I have fun? And that's when I realized that I need to change my group. I was like, you know what? We need to make some changes, and that's where my lonely phase kind of started.
Yeah.
And then one night we went out with Christy, and this is when I just met Christy, and we got into this huge fight. And I realized that every time I go out, it was something bad, so it just didn't have anything for me, so I had to make a change.
Yeah.
So for me, now is me giving back and seeing other people do what they want to do and live life, and my kids and Christy doing what she wants and I do what I want to. I think that's the best part of life, and that's the best part of figuring out who you are. And going through the lonely phase never really ends. All the lonely phase does is teach you how to control noise. It's like this movie with Jim Carrey when he turned to God. when he got God's power. You never see that movie?
No.
Oh,
Sorry.
So anyway, it's a movie with Jim Carrey, and he got God's power basically. Bruce Almighty.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Bruce Almighty. And then, so like when he just got the power, he could hear all these voices, and then he learned how to control the voices. And I think that's all the Lonely Face does is help you control the voices. So when someone outside be like, I want to do this. Okay, yeah, you could do that. That sounds pretty cool, but this is what I want to do. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you sure you want to do that? Yeah, this is dope to me. But you're not gonna make no money, Emily, if you're gonna be a travel barber and teach poor kids. Who gonna pay you? It's like, I don't know. I think I'll figure it out, but I rather go the way I want to go.
Yeah.
And the only way that could ever happen is by you figuring out that is your strength.
Yeah.
Because before you'd be like, yeah, you're kind of right. You're accountant. You have any jobs? You looking for any people? Yeah, you can come and work with me. You say, okay, cool. By the time we're 50, we still here. We still depressed and jaded with our job,
Yeah. Another thing that taking time alone has taught me was it helped me kind of pick apart and differentiate like what's really good for me and what's not, what people are worth my time and what aren't, what opinions are valuable and which ones aren't. You know what I mean? Like it made me kind of realize like, oh, like if I just go my own way without any outside opinion, I'm gonna see like how far I get. I'm gonna see what I can really achieve, regardless of what other people are saying. But if I'm doing this for this amount of time to please this person, like how it can really affect my well-being and my journey. So you start being a lot more selective with who you give your time and energy to,
Yeah.
and the things you choose to spend your time doing. So I think that's also very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That's
just
it.
honestly, it's just endlessly helpful. I don't even know how to say it because it's a tough thing to put into words because it's something that you have to just experience yourself. And like as much as you want to tell people they have to do it, like everyone has to do it when it's their
Yeah,
time to.
yeah.
That's I don't know. I always have trouble kind of. I have all of this advice and all of this. I don't want to say like wisdom, like I'm like 80, but I feel like I've experienced a lot of things in my life, and I just have so much advice I want to give to people. But like realistically, yeah, you can't help anybody unless they want to help themselves. And you can obviously inform people and educate people and
Yeah.
be like, oh, this was really helpful to me. But people
I,
will get there when they need to.
I think the
and-
sad thing too is that they have to, like you have to be broken to mend properly. I remember when I broke my leg. Yeah, we're gonna close soon, but I remember when I broke my leg. The doctor told me. He said, "Oh, we could do two things, right? We could go into surgery, right, and you could be back up and running in a couple of weeks, right? Or you could let it heal on its own. It's gonna take way longer, right? You're gonna go through more pain, but it heals stronger. So if we do surgery, it heals, but not as strong as if you allow it to heal for itself. If you let it heal for itself, it's actually stronger than before. You know?
Yeah.
And that's something that always stuck with me, and I think about it a lot. Is that you have to be broken to become stronger.
Yeah, it's so easy to find like the easy way out or the easy distraction because no one wants to feel bad. No one wants to go through depression. No one wants to feel lonely. No one wants these negative thoughts and that's normal. But it's something that you have to go through because like you're going to deal with extreme pain, but with that comes extreme happiness. Like you need to experience things as they come. And yeah, you have to just find comfort in the uncomfortable and just allow yourself to go through these things because it's all part of your growth and your development and your journey, and it's gonna happen eventually. And like Vaughn said in one of the previous episodes, you gotta deal with depression before it deals with you.
For sure.
Because it will, and that applies to literally everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. But that's good. I think I don't know if you have anything more to say. You have anything more that you want to say? I know we have you on some other episodes too where we could, cause I know you was kind of nervous this time.
Yeah.
But we get you on some more episodes where we could dive deeper into different topics as well, right?
Yeah,
Because
for
I know
sure.
that we do have a lot that we could talk about. But I think you good for
Yeah.
tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that should be good for that specific topic. I think we hit that topic pretty hard. And yeah, so once again, it's Emily. This is episode 10
Episode
of Young and Gifted
10.
podcast. Finally, we made it here.
Going strong.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, even though we just started. A lot of sleepless nights and editing and figuring out different parts of the puzzle and trying to put everything together and trying to figure out your own life, And it's something that I knew that I wanted to stick with, and I'm starting to see the fruits of the labor. Not financially, don't get that. Don't be thinking I having that kind of money from the podcast yet, but seeing it in terms of the impact that it could have on some people and the way people see you and that kind of stuff. So to me, it's been a really nice journey. I'm glad to see episode 10. We are trying to plan something for episode 20 where we could do like a live show maybe and have some people come in and do some live recordings, hopefully. But yeah, so thank you guys for rocking with me strong. Thank you guys for tuning in every week, or even if you didn't tune in every week, thank you guys for tuning. Even if you listen to one episode for 5 minutes, thank you. Even if you shared the post, thank you. It's a lot, and I'm really glad to be here, and I'm really glad to be to interview friends and family and strangers who become friends. Is one of the best things that I could ask for. When I started filmmaking, it was so that I could touch more lives, and now I see more lives touching me, which is pretty selfish, and is why I actually do it. I'm humbled every week to see that there are people cooler than I am. And yeah, this is it. This is Young and Gifted podcast. I hope you guys learned something. I hope we reach one of you guys. And if you're going through your lonely phase right now, just know that there is help, and there are people who've been through it. And just know that it's something that you have to go through, and at the end the reward will be way greater. As I said before, all true joy comes out of a baptism of anguish, and it could only happen through pain. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for rooting. And we'll see you guys for episode 20. Thank you.